I could give, this is from the third video, and this is an example of that. Basically, this is going to be a real simple example, and it's not real complex, but just to give you an understanding. Okay, I've got this mix, alright, and basically, up in the high end, I'm having some issues, and it sounds like it could use some air, right? Here's one example whenever you're listening to somebody talking about EQing. Right, and so this guy's telling me I need some more air, or I'm hearing that I need some more high end up in there. So I'm going to come over here and start messing with this, trying to put, a shelf EQ on, or a, bandpass EQ or something, trying to boost the air up here, right? Well, check it out. Here's an example. So instead of doing that while I was doing that mixing that you watched in the last video, then I went here and I listened. I found that some of the instruments that had some spectral content that was around that area that might be complementary to try to boost that air up in that area to get some more of that more shimmer up in the high end. So I found the guitar, and I said, okay, I started boosting these frequencies up here around, between 10 and 20 hertz somewhere, and I started boosting with a bandpass, pretty wide, Q on a bandwidth, and boosted it up, and all of a sudden I got this cool shimmer in the mix. Right now, I didn't mess with any EQ on the mix at all. And then I go back and listen to this guitar, and it didn't quite sound the same, throughout the whole mix, or for that section, because I've automated maybe that section, or I've just left it like that for the whole mix, that by itself, it doesn't have the same tonal qualities, and I don't know that it sounds as good. Does that make sense? And to me, it might not, depending on if I took part in shaping that guy's guitar sound or his acoustic sound there. But for this mix, now I've just got some air up here. And when I got done, it added this really super silky sound to the rest of the mix up in this end. And I went back and addressed it back here rather than doing the EQ up here and trying to find out some way to get air at the end of this EQ or at the end of this mix. Does that make sense? Trying to get some shimmer in the higher end up there. I went back and found some instruments that had some EQ content or some spectral content that I could use to try to get that shimmer there rather than trying to boost all the harmonic content that might have been in that area. Does that make sense? And that's one example, a very specific example. And it might not have been the guitar, it might have been the chorus, or it might have been, some other instrument, or a combination of a couple instruments going back and boosting each one of them up just a little bit until I got that nice air up in here without boosting everything that was up in there. Because there might be some spectral content up in the high end that might not be real complementary. And that guitar, I went back through and listened. I said, well, when I do that with the guitar there, that guitar's got, it's really low up in there, but if I boost it up, boy, it sure added this shimmer up in the high end, where if I just boosted everything and put that shelf EQ, try to get some shimmer up there, or bandpass, and trying to boost those upper ends of it to get that air or that shimmer, that it did a much better job that way. And that's just one example to kind of show you the importance of going back and doing your EQ. It's a totally different way of trying to do it. Most people, they will shape their EQ, but you've got the guitarist, and he's got a sound. Well, and then you're trying to mix the EQ, the sound, the song where it sounds good, but your ear's telling you it really doesn't sound that good, dude. Your guitar telling you it doesn't sound all that bad by itself, but when I put it in this mix for this song, it really doesn't sound that good, dude, and you start telling him, it's like, and you go in there and go, all right, dude, that's cool, I'm fucking with your shit, all right, and all of a sudden he's like, wow, dude, you know what I'm saying? So, me a lot ask him, because by itself it's not going to sound the same. But in that mix, it gave you that shimmer up in the high end and gave you some of that air that you were looking for up in there. So that, I just wanted to give you that's a real specific example and a specific use of why I, try to approach the EQ like that. And, and then at the end also, you might come to the end, you might go, no, I still need a little more, and you might do a little bit of work here. But you'll find it probably is a lot less work at the end, like it should be. Anyway, peace, hope, love, and I hope that you understood that example and that it made sense. And it was just one example and very specific, but most of the time, every time you start EQing, it's specific. And that was a very specific example. Peace, hope, love, have a nice day.